The book of First Chronicles opens as an exhaustive record of ancient Israelite ancestry, a catalog designed to anchor a returning nation to its roots. The first 3 chapters trace the lineage of the tribes of Judah and Simeon, a chain of fathers and sons that establishes a rigid hierarchy of inheritance. The rhythm of these ancestral lists is repetitive. To a modern reader, scanning these names feels like reading through a millennia-old database of tribal records. Then, in Chapter 4, this strict record-keeping stops. The rhythm of who begot whom is suddenly discarded. Instead of another column of names, the text pauses to focus on the intimate struggle of one man and the specific locations where ordinary laborers worked. This break in the pattern forces us to ask why a historical record would pause its grand sweep to highlight a man named Sorrow, a few village craftsmen, and a forgotten territorial skirmish. Within the records of the tribe of Judah, the scribe briefly notes Othniel, Israel's first judge. But the focus quickly shifts away from the national hero to an otherwise unknown man named Jabez. His name literally translates to suffering or pain. His mother chose it because his birth caused her intense physical suffering, effectively branding his identity with the memory of her trauma. In this culture, a name often acted as a destiny, yet Jabez rejects the label of sorrow and addresses God with a specific 4-part petition to change his trajectory. This matrix shows how Jabez structured his request. He moves systematically through his needs, starting with the source of his provision and ending with his physical safety. He begins by asking for unhindered blessing, looking to God as the sole provider of his future well-being. His next request focuses on the expansion of his territory. He asks for more than just land. He asks for the space and capacity to increase his influence. Knowing that increased territory brings increased responsibility, he asks for God's hand to be with him, seeking a constant, tangible divine support. His final plea is for protection from evil. He asks to be kept from harm, so that the pain associated with his name would no longer define his reality. This ancient structure, asking for provision, presence, and protection, shares a striking logic with the prayer Jesus would later teach his disciples, specifically the request to be delivered from the evil one. Jabez's presence in the genealogy shows that a structured, persistent faith can override a destiny that began in hardship. Following the story of Jabez, the text shifts its focus again, this time documenting the specialized professions that sustained the community. The scribe lists potters shaping clay, linen workers weaving fine cloth, and families living among the gardens and hedges of the countryside. These workers were included in the sacred record for a specific reason. They dwelt with the king for his work. Their social status was modest, but their employer was the crown. In contrast to these stationary craftsmen, the tribe of Simeon sought growth through movement. Under King Hezekiah, they looked beyond their current borders to find new resources for their people. The map reveals their trajectory. Seeking better pastures for their flocks, the Simeonite leaders led a military expansion, striking out from Judah's borders to seize the region of Mount Seir from the remaining Amalekites. By placing the Simeonites' conquest alongside the record of the potters, the text shows that God's record values both the bold expansion of borders and the quiet maintenance of the king's work. These interruptions in Chapter 4 reveal the specific ways an ancient people understood their relationship with the divine. The account of Jabez teaches that a visionary faith can invite an immediate, miraculous change in one's circumstances. Yet the list of craftsmen reminds us that one does not need to be a judge or a conqueror to be worth remembering in a sacred history. Dedication to a craft, working with clay, cloth, or soil, becomes an act of service when the work is done in the service of the king. Chapter 4 balances these two paths, the loud, transformative power of prayer and the steady, quiet dignity of daily labor. Whether crying out for wider borders or shaping clay for the royal household, faithful devotion invites the presence of the king.